everyone, my name is Samantha and welcome to my YouTube channel, Sewing in Switzerland. So firstly, apologies. I am sorry I have not put out a video in a couple of weeks. This video today is a pup date, so everything that's going on with Team Potatoes, and also a life update for you. I am not kidding when I say I have had the most chaotic few weeks. Like, I would love to come on here and be like, oh, sorry everyone, I was sunning myself in the Caribbean with Team Potatoes. No, we've had a really hellish few weeks, to be honest. So I just kind of want to share. Especially, I like to share these things so that anybody else is having a bad week or, you know, like just a really rough time of it at the moment. These things tend to like all happen at once, I find. I see you, I hear you, we're all in the same boat at the moment. So, what happened first? Firstly, like a few weeks ago, we were in a car accident. We were driving in Zurich, and just this really angry lorry driver basically we'd come off the motorway, and you come off the motorway and then there's like 3 lanes that obviously all kind of veering off into different directions, and at the end of that road there's like traffic lights, so you kind of all come off that same road and then merge into the lane that you need to be in. Now this lorry driver was like very aggressive and he just didn't want us to merge into that lane. So we were at complete standstill because it was red light, and we'd half moved into that lane to merge into it, and he just pulled forward knowing that we were there and just slammed into the side of our car basically, and then broke and then went again. So like he was in a lorry, a big lorry. He got his like cab of the lorry under our wheel arch and just kind of dragged it along, and the whole thing was just horrible, really horrible. So unfortunately the police got called, you know, it stopped, it grounded all the traffic, no one could merge into their lanes. He was fine, we were fine, no one was hurt. It was just a really not nice experience. Like, I just came away feeling very uncomfortable. The man was very angry, a very, very aggressive driver. So the whole thing was just very uncomfortable, but it all got sorted, it was all handled, you know, we've moved on from it. But the whole kind of experience wasn't very nice, and I'm really glad that my husband was there, because this guy was just, you know, yelling at me. My husband was pinned in with the cab of the lorry, so he actually couldn't get out of the car, so I had to get out and, you know, film everything for the insurance and what have you. And he was just, you know, like yelling, and he was just really angry, and the whole thing was just not very nice, if I'm honest. So yeah, it just kind of made me feel really unsettled for a few days. And then I'll fill you in what's going on with Team Potatoes. So Spud had all her cancer treatments and what have you. She's thriving, she's doing great. Her sister, I'll just recap very quickly. She got bitten by a tick several months ago during the winter period when ticks are supposed to be hibernating. And the tick bite was very, very severe, and it caused meningitis and encephalitis, which is brain inflammation. So she's got a varying degrees of brain damage. She'll always be like a little bit wobbly. Now she'll always be kind of a little bit unstable, but she was doing really well on the medication. The way to combat this meningitis and this brain inflammation was to pump her through full of steroids. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, those steroids had an adverse effect and ripped a hole in her intestine, which caused internal bleeding. It was probably the scariest moment of my life. Her like her stomach all around her abdomen was really swollen, and I kind of knew something was not right. She was very lethargic, but the tablets that she was on make her feel that way. And then like Monday afternoon, she just completely collapsed. So we rushed her up to the vet that was seeing her, the emergency vets, and they admitted her there and then. And they found the internal bleeding, which they couldn't operate on because her red blood cells were so low. They recommended that she should have a transfusion. Unfortunately, she was not feeling well enough to really have a transfusion. It can actually make them worse. If they reject the blood, you know, then she wouldn't have stood a chance at all. So she was like on that very borderline of really desperately needing that transfusion. So we hung on and we hung on, and then very slowly the red blood cells started to increase. She was in the ICU for an entire week. I've never been apart from one of my dogs for that long, for that whole week. It's never happened before. So I kind of felt like I'd lost a limb, you know, like I think the doorbell's just gone. Hang on. And I'm back. It was the doorbell. Sorry, it was my neighbour bringing my husband some cheese. When in Switzerland, right? So back to Wobbles. So yeah, she was in the ICU for the whole week, and every day they would call and say there's no change or there's very, very slight change. And on the Wednesday, she just kind of stopped responding at all. Her tail wasn't wagging, she wasn't moving. And that was kind of the turning point. They said, you know, like, prepare yourselves, really. And then on the Thursday, she started to get better. She started to make improvements. And obviously we weren't allowed to see her during any of this time until the weekend. She was just too poorly. So on the weekend we went to see her, and honestly it was really unnerving, actually. She was very happy to see her. Her tail was wagging. She was upright. She was moving around. Very, very tired. But her tongue was white. I mean, like, completely white. Like, no pink or anything at all. It was really odd, actually. It was really unsettling to see. And they called again on the Sunday and they said, look, she was so much better after your visit. Could you come again? So we went again on the Sunday, and then by the Monday they said that we could bring her home. And everyone was in this vet practice was so fantastic, and they said that they used to let her out of the pen that she was in the ICU and just let her wander around where the staff were, where they were having their lunch, and she would just kind of bother them for some of their lunch. And everyone really, you know, bonded to her. She's such a lovely, sweet angel. And we went for a checkup. So we've had her home now for almost a week. And we took her for a checkup, and everyone kind of came over and came to see her who was at this vet practice. Not even her primary care, you know, team, just people I don't know that work there were coming over to see her. So she really bonded with a lot of the people there. And yeah, her blood cells, her red blood cells are still critically low, but her bone marrow is working, and she had an iron infusion, and she's very, very slowly, very, very slowly getting marginally better. So yeah, keep your fingers and your toes crossed. It was like, kind of like missing a limb, not having her for that week. I was very, very emotional, very, very fragile. I couldn't, you know how some people like throw themselves into work and get so much done because they just need something to focus on? I'm the opposite, which I don't recommend either, to be honest. I just kind of freeze up, knowing that there was nothing that I could do, knowing that she wasn't here with us. I very much just kind of froze up and just couldn't really do anything more than take care of the other two. I tried to do some sewing. I made the seam work benning dress that I said I was going to make for summer. And I don't know, my brain just doesn't function. I think that I sewed the skirt panel the wrong way around. So when I went to put it on, it was like super tight rather than having these great gathers. So yeah, I've either cut out the wrong size, or I think have flipped it around the wrong way. So I need to take it apart and dissect it and just assess where I went wrong. So yeah, I was when I made it, I will say, it does say beginner, but the v-neck with the facing I did find a little bit fussy, a little bit fiddly. My favourite is probably still Soho House Sewing's Salvi sundress, which is kind of a similar take on that, but without the gathered piece. It's all just one dress piece with a lining around the bust area. So that's still my favourite, but I am going to take apart the seam work bending because I just don't think I was in the right frame of mind, and you know, work out what it is that I have done and put it back together. So yeah, still sewing, but making, you know, silly mistakes, to be honest. So yeah, in the midst of all this, in the midst of all that was going on, you know, feeling a bit traumatized from the car accident, and then everything that was happening with Wobbles, and the other two, I will say Spud and her brother, Baby Bear, were not naughty, but we had some behavioural issues. They were very depressed when she was not here, very depressed. They just slept a lot. I tried to make sure that they would get more exercise to try and tire them out, more playtime, more exciting enrichment, you know, new different foods and what have you. They were just really down. They've never been apart from her either for any amount of time, so they really struggled, and we did have some behavioural issues. They were just not very happy, very kind of not naughty, but we would go out and they would have very visible breakdowns, you know, like normally they're fine on their own, but we would have to take them everywhere with us. We could not leave them on their own because they would just make themselves sick. So yeah, they're feeling much better now as well, which is good. So then in the middle of all this, my parents were on holiday. They'd gone to, I want to say Malta, but I'm not 100%. And coming back, they were on the Link Road. They live in Devon, so shout out to any Devonians out there. They were, yeah, coming back from Devon and going to Devon, and they were on, you know, like a dual carriageway, so it was like 60 miles per hour. They'd hit traffic, so they'd come to a complete standstill, and then a young boy, who I can only imagine was on his phone, slammed into the back of them. He's completely written his car off. He must have been doing, to cause the damage that he did, he must have been doing at least, I want to say 70 or 80. And to not see the line of traffic, I mean, it's a straight road. You can't not see what's going on ahead of you, right? It's literally a straight road. So he must have just not been looking. And he's ploughed into the back of them and completely written off his car, my parents' car. It's all like kind of caved in at the back, so that needs a lot of work done to it. He took full responsibility immediately. He was really shaken up, but he wasn't hurt. My parents, my dad was fine, but my mum has quite severe whiplash and had to go to hospital the next day and was, you know, just generally not feeling great because of it. So yeah, it was just, you know, like another thing, like to get that message and say, you know, we're fine, but we've been in a car accident. And it was just, it was a lot. It was a lot the past couple of weeks. Yeah, the only thing genuinely that's keeping me going is Red Bull. I am so caffeinated because I'm not sleeping very well. So yeah, if you're thinking, how is this woman up? Right, Red Bull. Yeah, I'm just heavily caffeinated. So yeah, it's like a few things that on their own would have been, you know, upsetting, but all together, all at once, and then to not have Wobbles with me for like a whole week was just really, traumatic, to be honest. The whole thing's just been really traumatic. So I just wanted to kind of come on and fill you all in. But one half of me is like, oh Sam, you know, you make these videos and you're just complaining all the time because I'm having a really rough year. And the other half of me is like, well, it's good to talk about these things because sometimes when you come on and you use social media or YouTube or whatever, and it's like, oh, you know, I'm having a really great time, my life's great, and it's like, oh, is anybody out there having a really bad time too? So if you are, I see you, I hear you, I know how you're feeling. Like, your struggles are my struggles, right? So yeah, so I just wanted to say hi, check in, and also reach out to you all and see how you're all doing. So do please message or comment and say hi, because I'd love to know how your summer's going. And honestly, I hope you're all having a better one than me. I really, really hope that I get some messages going, Sam, I'm having a fantastic few weeks. This is what I've been up to. You know, I've been on holiday. I'm having a cracking time, because that's nice. You know, that's what I want to hear. But if you're also having a rough time, I know how that feels. I hear you. I understand. So yeah, with a lot of love from me to all of you, I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I will very, very much, very definitely see you all soon. Thanks so much. Bye.